If this were to happen, it would completely destroy the hearing aid industry. Hey guys, welcome back to the DrCliffAuD vlog. This is vlog number 235, and today I want to talk to you guys about the concept of price gouging and, more importantly, price controls inside of the hearing aid industry. But before I get into it, do me a huge favor, click the like button, really helps out the channel. And if you are not yet subscribed to the channel with notifications turned on, go ahead and do that as well. It is greatly appreciated. Now, the reason I'm bringing up this topic is really because of what presidential candidate Kamala Harris had mentioned in her economic plan to prevent grocery stores from price gouging. Now, I'm not wanting to get this into be any kind of a political debate here. I do not give a crap who you vote for. I just think you should vote. Nevertheless, let's talk about this concept inside of the hearing aid industry, because when I posted my video last week, which was about the new Infinio hearing aids, the Sphere Infinio hearing aids from Phonak, and how there's a big shortage of them, you know, some people had mentioned this idea that price gouging could happen because when there's a shortage of something, you can typically charge more money to make a bigger profit if there's a high demand for something but not enough supply. And so the idea of artificially controlling the market with the whole supply-demand aspect of it could be a good way to prevent hearing aid prices from getting out of control. But inside of the hearing aid industry, I'm going to explain why that is a bad idea. Now, I'm not going to come at it from the perspective of a hearing care professional to where it'd be a bad idea if someone told me that I could only charge a certain amount for hearing aids. I'm going to explain how it would be a negative for people with hearing loss. Now, generally speaking, inside of the United States at least, there is enough competition from a hearing aid standpoint that if a clinic were to price gouge, let's say that they were charging double the amount for hearing aids that their closest competitor was charging, those individuals would leave that clinic and go to a different clinic that was not price gouging. So that is typically the best way to prevent price gouging, which is competition. Now let me explain why price gouging, or rather price controls inside of the hearing aid industry to prevent price gouging, would be a bad idea. And there's actually two of them. And the first one is that if you were to limit what hearing aid manufacturers could charge for their devices that they sell to hearing care professionals that then we dispense them to you, is it would cause a couple of things. Number one, the hearing aid manufacturers would not be able to invest as much money in research and development, and they wouldn't be able to increase production of their devices, because if there's not profit there for them, there is no incentive for them to make more devices and make better devices. They will just continue to sell whatever they have to sell in order to turn a profit, and that means that technology advancement would not happen. Not to mention, we would see some major supply chain issues because these hearing aid manufacturers outsource a lot of the production of these different supplies. Think of like wax traps, for instance. You know, you go to the manufacturing facility for like Phonak, for instance, they're not manufacturing these wax traps. They're outsourcing the manufacturing of the wax traps. Now, if the industry was regulated for how much they could charge for those wax traps as they sell them to us, the hearing care professional, then they would have to take a loss on those wax traps because they're having to pay a certain amount to these production companies. So at the end of the day, you would not be able to actually get these wax traps because there would be a shortage of them, because there is no way that they would be able to source these products at a price that would make sense for the company economically, and then basically you're screwed. You have to remember that inside of the world of economics, it is all based off of the profit motive. If companies cannot turn a profit, what is the point? I mean, think about it yourself. If you are still a working adult and you went into your employer and they're like, listen, sorry, we are limited on the amount of money that we can charge for your services, so we're gonna have to reduce how much we pay you. Are you cool with that? If you're cool with that, then that would work. But you would not be cool with that. You do not want to get paid half the amount of money that you currently get paid to do the exact same job. Why? Because you are motivated by profiting off of your exchange of time for money. But let's take this whole concept of limiting what companies can charge, and in this case, hearing aid manufacturers being able to charge for their hearing aids and other related supplies, to the hearing care professionals that you go to purchase these hearing aids from. If there are limitations on what I can charge for a certain hearing aid, there are a couple things that would happen. Number one, we would have to reduce the amount of time that we spend with each patient, which means that we're cutting out certain best practices that would not allow you to achieve your highest level of hearing possible. Now, some hearing aid clinics already chop that stuff out, but they also might be charging a lower price because they're not doing all the things necessary to make sure that you hear your best. But for a clinic like mine, and I can only really speak for my clinic, if I was told that I could only charge, $4,000 for a premium level treatment, I mean, we first of all would not be making that much money on every single hearing aid that we sold. So we would have to cut down our time, probably give our patients a quarter of the amount of time that we would traditionally spend with them in order to fit them and set up their hearing aids and provide them with aftercare. So that would significantly reduce the quality of care. On top of that, chances are I'd have to lay off staff, so we would have less staff to serve the amount of patients that we have coming in. Now, when you think about it, hearing aids in and of themselves are inelastic. They're an inelastic good. What that means is that the demand for hearing aids does not go up or down based on price differences. People want to hear. And so if you decrease the prices on hearing aids, chances are it won't increase the amount of people who want to get treatment. And we can see this in other countries. Like, there are countries that literally give their citizens hearing aids for free, and the hearing aid adoption rates in those countries are less than 10% higher than here in the United States. So we know that even if we gave everything away for free, people still wouldn't take those devices, okay? On the other hand, if we increase the price of hearing aids, it does not reduce demand. People still want to get those hearing devices. So the price controls here wouldn't necessarily be a positive for a clinic like mine. We would still have the same amount of work to do, but we would make much less money doing it. And what does that affect ultimately? It affects the quality of care that you receive. All right, so let's go ahead and kind of recap some of this, because I know that not everybody is hugely into economics. Economics was something that I loved in school, but if we have price controls, it essentially does nothing good for the end user. You might think that it's good for you because it's like, great, now I can get hearing aids at a lower price. But what are you having to give up to get those hearing aids at a lower price? Now, some people would be more than happy to give up any quality of care. They just don't care at all. They just want any set of hearing aids inside of their ears, and that's totally fine. But the thing is that you can already find places that have more affordable hearing treatments. Why not have the clinics that are going to be providing a high level of care be able to provide that high level of care and just charge more money for it, which is commensurate with the amount of work that they're actually doing? Now, I do coaching for different clinic owners. I mean, I provide trainings. And so the thing that I've identified is that not every clinic out there is very profitable at all. In fact, there's a lot of clinics that are just scraping by. And you would think that if they're charging $5,000, $6,000 for a pair of hearing aids, that they would be crushing it. And unfortunately, they're not crushing it. You have to remember that the demand inside of the United States is not massively high for hearing aids outside of a couple of certain circumstances when a new hearing aid like the Phonak, Audeo, Sphere, Infinio is launched. So if those clinics are told that they are not able to charge that amount of money, what do you think happens? They go out of business, and then there's nobody in your area to provide you with any type of hearing care at all. And so ultimately, capping the price on hearing aids or hearing aid treatment would ultimately lead to lack of access to care, which is something that we want to have more of. We want to have more access to care, and we do want to have more access to affordable care, but you can't sacrifice the price that a clinic has to charge in order to stay profitable, in order to gain accessibility of hearing treatment and gain affordability of hearing treatment. It just doesn't work, and it's been proven over and over in a variety of different economic models throughout the entire world, throughout history. So what would be a better option when a new hearing aid comes out and there's a huge shortage and there's potentially price gouging going on? Well, that responsibility is yours to not go to a place who is gouging you for those hearing aids. Now, this doesn't happen often. And in fact, I can't even cite a very specific example of where a clinic was doing price gouging and they got in trouble for it, or even had a class action, anything for it, or even a news report on it. So this pretty much is not even happening. And even though I know that the people leaving comments on my channel about capping the price of hearing aids in the United States, they're coming at it from a place of they believe that it would be good for people with hearing loss. And I can totally understand that thought process. But when you actually put that into action, it just flat out doesn't work.